Hello, everyone. I'm Bruce Casella, and welcome to Gate to Wire, along with Dani Gibson, our special guest. You see him right there, Dick Jerardi of Let's Go Racing, and he is a Hall of Famer.
A couple of times over. Well, we got to be a part of a really special night last night. It was the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, and Dick, you were inducted. Tell us about what you were inducted for and just this awesome achievement with the peers that you were inducted with.
So it was basically, Danny, for the body of work since I've been in town, and I've been here a little more than 40 years. It was interesting when Kay McGee, who's on the committee, called me literally last April 1st. It just triggered something in me, and I told Bruce this is why I started the speech the way I did. April 1st of 1985 is when the new Garden State Park opened, and that's exactly why I got hired at the paper, which, all these other things that have happened since then, none of them happened. If Garden State Park doesn't open because they don't want a horse racing writer, I don't get to the paper, and things just happen, and all just kind of happened that way.
Dick, that's unbelievable because I've known you now, I guess, 40 years because I was there with you that night,
Yes,
opening
you were.
night. It was a great night, and we were all trying to peek in on the Villanova Wildcats.
Yeah, there were 30,000 people there that night, the first night at Garden State Park. And the advertising blitz when that track opened was overwhelming in the Philadelphia market. Now, we'd only been here for 6 weeks. I started at the Daily News in mid-February of 85. And I'm convinced, Bruce and Danny, that if Villanova wasn't playing Georgetown in the national championship game that night, there might have been 60 or 70,000 people at Garden State. And frankly, they couldn't handle 30,000 because
Wow.
the opening night of a track, they'd had a little thing. I want to say, Bruce, maybe that Saturday, kind of an open house. I vaguely remember, and then the track opened obviously on a Monday night. Just try to get a sense of it. But you're talking about all new restaurant workers, waiters, everything. Yeah, it was just it was chaos, and it could have been double chaos if Villanova wasn't playing Georgetown.
Well, you had a great speech.
Yeah.
It brought tears to my eyes, and it had to bring tears to your eyes, Danny.
Oh God, I had the biggest smile on my face the whole time you were up there. And just I thought the whole night they did a great job with the videos and really got to show you, just a glimpse into your amazing career and all the incredible events you captured and your family got to be there. I mean, what were some of the emotions you were feeling?
Yeah, look, I mean, you think back on everything, right? I mean, that's really what the night was about. And more than anything, to me, it was about our entire staff at the Daily News. I mean, and a bunch of them were there last night, including Pat McClune, who was our sports editor for a long time, Dana O'Neill, of course, who Rich Hoffman, Mike Kern, Ed Barkowitz, Bobby Cooney, Bernard Fernandez, all good friends. And I got a really nice text from Herb McGee this morning, the longtime basketball coach at what was Philadelphia Textile, then Philadelphia U, now Jefferson University. And I texted him back. I said, you know what? At our paper, we were like a really well-coached team with players that really wanted to play. I mean, we loved it. We loved the game, and it showed in what we did. So I really felt like I was accepting that last night on behalf of everybody that had ever worked there.
Yeah,
Well, let's take a look at the speech, shall we?
let's do it.
When Kay McGee called about this honor, I thought back exactly 40 years to April 1st of 1985, and not for the reason my friends from Villanova will be telling you about in a little bit. It just happened to be the night the new Garden State Park opened, which just happened to be the reason I got hired at the Daily News to cover horse racing at that track. Of course, I spent most of the night watching Villanova Georgetown on television in the press box. There's no way to know that 31 years later, I would be in a Houston football stadium next to the Astrodome, maybe 20 yards from where Chris Jenkins made the most famous shot in college basketball history for Villanova's next title. Had the perfect view behind the ball in the air. It was always going in. Thank you, Chris, for an unforgettable ending and for saving my Villanova wins the national championship column, which was looking very tenuous right before that shot went in the basket. It has been a 40-year adventure, 33 years at the DN, 7,000 stories, just an absolute joy to work there. None of this happens without Mike Rathett and Brian Toolin, hiring essentially a rookie to handicap the races and write about horse racing. DN Sports was such a special place. This honor really is for all of us who work there. Many of whom are here tonight at table 28. Our leader, then and now, Pat McClune, and special thanks to Dana O'Neill for writing such a lovely story in the program. And by the way, thankfully, you can read Dana again. CNN Sports, she's back, and we're thrilled that she is. I got to chronicle not one, but two college players of the year in Lionel Simmons and Jameer Nelson. Coaches like John Chaney, Phil Martelli, Speedy Morris, Fran Dunphy, Jay Wright, Herb McGee, Steve Donahue, Steve Lapis, Joe Mahalik, and so many more. Seeing college basketball games at last count in 175 gyms, arenas, and domes. The wonderful LaSalle team of 1990 and 27-0 regular season St. Joe's in 2004, an amazing 5-month saga. Barcelona 1992 Olympics, where I got to watch one of our honorees tonight, the fabulous diver Mary Ellen Clark. High atop the city with perhaps the greatest backdrop for any sporting event ever. I got to cover my alma mater's national championship in 2002 in Atlanta. Thank you to another of our honorees, Coach Williams, and all the great Maryland players. The horses, Smarty Jones, Fleet Alex, Barbaro, Bob Levy's bet twice. Got to be in Saratoga Springs this August to see Smarty Jones inducted into the Hall of Fame. Great jockeys like Tony Black, Rick Wilson, and Kendrick Carmouche at Parks, Chris McCarron, Lafitte Pinkai nationally. I got to cover legendary horse trainers like Wayne Lucas and Bob Baffert, and locally, Scott Lake, John Service, Kate DeMasi, and the Reed brothers, Butch and Mark. Been to 35 racetracks to cover events or just to bet the double. Let's Go Racing, our once-a-week horse racing show with producer extraordinaire Bruce Casella, that he has managed to keep on in this market for more than 3 decades. I work with host Keith Jones and now with my good friend Dani Gibson. Thanks to all my friends from Parks who are here tonight at table 16 and keep me in just enough action. In all, I covered 25 Final Fours and 100 Triple Crown races. Newspapers, radio, TV, racetracks, arenas, stadiums. I actually remember a few days when I would write a story or two in the morning and afternoon, then head to the track for a few races, maybe tape Let's Go Racing, hang out with my man Michael Barkan, do Daily News Live from 5 to 6:30, then go to North 5th Street to do a shift for WIP, and then finish the night at the old late night CN8 sports show. These days it's Penn State basketball on radio from November to March, and radio Saturday mornings from the Park Sports Book, courtesy of Mike Baldini, where everybody, if you just tune in, you can hear the rantings of my man Mike Kern, and there's nothing like it. One of the great parts of longevity is seeing guys who were just starting out become stars. Back at WIP, I work with Tyrone Johnson. I work with Mike Garofalo, who now does such a great job on NFL Network, and I work with our host tonight, Joe DeCamera. So many friends from racing and basketball are here tonight, but none better than the first family of Delaware Valley Racing, Mark and Barbara Reed. And they, this is 20 years ago now, they managed to reintroduce us to the magic that is Saratoga Springs in August. On a night like this, you think about family, and it's actually true. The first time Karen and I went out was to Timonium. And for the uninitiated, Timonium is a racetrack north of Baltimore. And my job at the time, in fact, my job for a number of years after that, was racetrack gambler. That was my job. That's what I did. Brian, my older son, Mike, the younger son, been here for the entire Philadelphia journey. Aaron for half of it. And our swim star grandchild, Quinn, be here for 17 years of it next month. You also think on a night like this of our Daily News sports family and all those we have lost over the decades. Phil Jasner and Ted Solari, as good at their beats as anyone ever could be. Stan Hockman, Bill Conlon, the great photographer George Reynolds, Bill Fleischman, Mary Ellen Gould, fellow Maryland alum John Smallwood, Jennifer Fry, Jay Greenberg, Jeff Samuels, the wonderful Mike Rathett, and my great friend from college, and always the coolest guy in the room, Caesar Alsop. Thank you so much.
Well, Dick, tears in my eyes, and thank you so much for the mention in front of all those great fans and sports fans there. It meant a lot to me.
Well, it's a fact, Bruce. I mean, you and I have had the conversation many times. This show does not happen and certainly does not stay on the air in this market without your perseverance. And, you know, and I mentioned Keith, obviously, was a great host for all these years, and Danny and I now for the last 5 years. And it was almost pretty seamless when Danny took over for Keith. And it's just been great to watch you, Danny, get better and better at it.
Oh.
And it wasn't easy when you started. I mean, it wasn't easy for you because you had not done something like this before, but you took the time, you got a chance, you understood it, you know how it works. And, you know, now I feel like the way we do it is like Keith and I did it. And, you know, we did it for a whole lot longer than you and I have done it. So, but yeah, major tribute to Bruce. Look, other people can talk. Nobody can do what Bruce does. That's just a fact. Nobody could put this together. Nobody could do all the work that he's done to make this thing happen.
I appreciate that, Dick. It's been a great ride, and I hope it continues. You know, I love the show, and I know we're not on all the time on NBC Sports Philadelphia. You know, finances have something to say about that, but hopefully we'll be back on the show in May and get ready for a big Kentucky Derby and Triple Crown season.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more
Yeah, go ahead.
stories to tell.
Yeah, that's the fun of it. And you never really know what they are. I mean, that's a fascinating part about being in the media business. There's always something you don't expect. That's why I always told kids when I would speak at schools, I said, look, whatever you're doing, you better stay ahead of what you're doing because something is going to happen that you did not expect. And if you start to try to play catch up in this game, you're never going to catch up. So always get ahead. Like Danny and I were talking the other day about, all right, here's what we're thinking about for next week.
Yep.
So if you don't do that, all of a sudden next week's happening and you got nothing. And it's always better to have too much than not enough.
That's always been my philosophy. You know, look, I started out in this business a long time ago, while I was in college in Lexington, Kentucky. And, you know, I learned how to shoot. I learned how to write and be on front of the camera. But someday I knew that was going to end. You know, I ended up in Philadelphia doing sports at NBC 10 and Comcast Sportsnet, CN8, and did some things at Channel 17. So I've been around a long time, Channel 3. But I knew that was going to end at some point. So I better learn how to edit and produce and shoot and do all that stuff at a high level so I could keep myself relevant.
Yeah, no question. It was funny last night in one of the sections when I was speaking. People just heard it, but there really were days when I would write a couple stories for the paper, go to the track, tape the show, do Daily News Live, go to North Fifth Street for WIP, and then Bruce end up with you and Lou Tilley back at CN8 for Greg Murphy for the late night show down on Columbus Boulevard in South Philly.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to let you go, Dick Jerardi, and we're going to have much more on that big event in South Philadelphia on Let's Go Racing next week. I had to save something. I talked to a couple coaches about you. Joe DeCamera, the host, said some nice things about you, introducing your speech. So I'll show that on the show next week. So, you know, a little bit now, but a lot more later.
Yeah, and I just want to say congratulations. I mean, just to see how inspiring the people that were also inducted with you, and just all the amazing accomplishments. And look, Philadelphia is the sports city. So for you to be recognized in such an amazing city, it's just really inspiring, Dick.
Yeah, and it was especially cool for me last night to see Mary Ellen Clark there, the diver from Penn State. That was the Olympics I covered, and I saw her diving
Wow.
in Barcelona, and to see Gary Williams there from Collingswood, New Jersey, who was the coach at my alma mater, and I covered the game in '02 in Atlanta when they won the national championship. So yeah, you felt like it was very much of a full circle moment last night, for sure.
You just took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
All right, Dick, thanks for joining us on Gate to Wire. Congratulations. We'll see you on Let's Go Racing.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.